Everything from clothing to household items are getting more expensive each day. The world of fast fashion has complicated clothing production by outsourcing around the world to whoever can sew them the cheapest. And now you, the consumer, are paying the price with rising costs. American Giant is about keeping things simple and close to home. They aren't affected by tariffs because their products never leave the U.S. So when you buy from American Giant, you're taking a stand for hardworking people, local communities, and quality clothes. American Giant directly supports American manufacturers and ensures you aren't footing that tariff bill. Support American-made, tariff-free clothing with American Giant. Get 20% off your first order when you use promo code STAPLE20 at American-Giant.com. That's 20% off when you use code STAPLE20 at American-Giant.com.
Valspar Ultra starts at just $29.98 a gallon. So we've got you covered when your daughter wants to paint her room again after last year's masterpiece of a unicorn mural.
Dad, please.
Or when you realize that maybe you went too hard on the grayish.
I miss color.
Or when you were sure you wanted a home gym, but your elliptical is currently hanging your laundry.
What about a home office?
Shop everything you need for your next phase with Valspar. Available at Lowe's. Price varies by Shein.
Ever get the feeling you're being watched online? It's data brokers. They collect your personal info, your browsing habits, where you live, and who you're related to, and then sell it to the highest bidder. Aura helps stop that. Aura automatically removes your personal info from data broker sites and keeps it off. It also monitors the dark web, protects your devices, alerts you to real-time threats, and more. Start your free trial at aura.com/listen. That's AURA.com/listen for your free trial.
If you love entertainment, current events, and Hollywood, don't miss Creator to Creators, hosted by the filmmaker Meosha, known for the Shudder hit documentary Horror Noir and the acclaimed film Anatomy of an Anti-Hero, Redemption. This show features interviews with filmmakers and creatives from around the globe. Join the fun with guest celebrities and gain valuable insights. Subscribe now and follow Creator to Creators.
Hi guys, welcome to another episode of Creators to Creators today. Today we have a special guest.
Hi, I'm Eden Hill.
Welcome. So I really love going back to the beginning. I always say the beginning kind of charts our trajectory in life, like little small habits that we pick up along the way, follow us into our adulthood. Tell me a little bit about like what your childhood was like and kind of how did you find your way into doing the things you're doing now?
It's actually an amazing question. So as a child, I guess, really, I was always like creative. I was always drawing or like doing something creative, building Legos or like I always had that creative juice flowing in me. And I remember like since I could remember, I would like take showers and like make songs in the shower. Like I would like make my own lyrics while I was showering and stuff. And like I wouldn't write it down until later on in life. But I grew up in El Paso, Texas, and there wasn't really much to do over there other than like go to school and like as a kid, I didn't really see much of like the craziness that would happen in that town.
Yeah.
But as I started getting a little older, I realized like there's a lot of brokenness in that area, especially with like it being like right on the border of Juarez and the things that like some of the kids in my middle school were involved with and things like that. But I got blessed to be part of an amazing family and grow up in an amazing community. And it was great. I mean, I don't really remember too much of my childhood other than like the family gatherings that I would go to or like just some of the fun stuff I did. I went camping a lot as a kid. So I definitely I don't really draw a lot of my inspiration for like music or creating nowadays from my childhood. I kind of just like enjoy the memories that I have and push down the memories that I don't enjoy and things like that,
Yeah. So yeah, because I'm just curious of what that looked like. Was it like was like a song or an artist that you saw growing up and you were like, I want to do this. I want to make music. Like I remember for me, I rented a like I was in my God, 16 years old. I rented an Alfred Hitchcock series at the library one summer, and I was like, I want to be a filmmaker. Like that's when I knew I wanted to do it, but like I was like, whatever he's doing, I want to do that.
Hard.
Like was it like an artist that like inspired you to like or song that you were like, I want to do this. I want to take this path. Like, because I mean, it's a big, interesting path to take music
Mhm,
wise.
for sure. Not necessarily as a kid. I think or like as a young kid when I lived in El Paso. I think more so like when I lived in Texas, it was like I wanted more so to be like an actor or
Okay.
yeah, like I wanted to be on TV and I did a short film when I was like 11 years old and
Nice.
kind of like went down my family on my dad's side actually like went down that path. Like my cousins are two film like my cousin and my cousin-in-law, they are two film writers and they work in the film industry like professional.
Nice.
So
I love
um
that.
so I could have gotten into that, but I think going into high school when I moved to Florida is when I really started listening to more music and more hip hop music. And um, I listened to Logic for the first time, and
Oh
Logic
yeah.
by inspiration to actually start making music at that age. And so I started making music at that age, but as my music taste kind of progressed and stuff, I was like, I don't really like Logic anymore. And I started listening to like different rappers. And then once I started my faith journey, that's when I kind of like turned around and was like more so like, oh, I want to make I want to make music that glorifies God, but isn't really like pushing it in people's faces and like um isn't like I want it to still be raw and like about me, but like kind of just like telling people a story about how like where I was, where I've been, and like how God's been able to pull me out of things like that, and like how genuine faith has been able to like aid me in life.
Love that. That's a beautiful place. And again, that's awesome that you're in the faith and that you changed your life for the better. And that's an awesome thing.
It
Um,
really is.
that's beautiful. So tell me, let's talk about your single. I know it's out now. It's past Friday 13th, I think, right? Yeah. So tell me a little bit about like what was the inspiration behind, the single Afraid and like why now?
Um, I think the inspiration behind the single was more so I started playing the piano, right? And then I had that riff kind of just come to my head and I started playing it and I was like, oh, that's pretty neat. So I recorded it and I started adding drums and everything to it. And when I put the beat together, I was like, no, this could be like a really good storytelling piece. Like
Yeah.
sounds like a score for a movie. So I was like, I want to actually make something that's like really meaningful and impactful. And I just talked about like in the song, the inspiration was kind of like where I was at that point in time, like mental state wise,
Mm,
with everything just around me and um how I was journeying through a period of time, I would say, where I was battling the in between of absolute truth and like believing absolute truth um and wrestling with like the lies that the enemy in the world tries to tell us as believers, like um
mm,
and just wrestling with those two realities and trying to find my place in that. And I was like in the in-between stage, I would say. So I was like really wrestling with the idea of like, well, I know the truth, but I still feel the effects of the world, and that makes me afraid. I still feel the effects of
mm,
my mental health, and that makes me afraid. And
mm.
so that's kind of like where the song got its inspiration, was like from just battling myself.
Yeah, no, I think that's awesome that you even tapped into that. I don't really think too many Christian music really talks about that. I mean, I think you have like your Luke Rays and a few people like that kind of talks about, the mental health and stuff like that. But
Yeah.
like it's really not widely talked about. So I think that's great that you tapped into it, but also, going from fear to faith. I think that's a really cool journey there.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Going from fear to faith is it makes for a lot of great um testimony, like telling
Mhm.
people, like being able to testify to people and tell them like, hey, like this is where I was, this is how it went, and this is where I am now, and this is why, is like
Mhm.
a you get to express like the journey that God's had you on, and it's beautiful, and it really touches people and really helps people, like uh, each one of us individually as a human can operate and can live a life individually, but we are like complex social animals, like complex social creatures who impact one another with our stories, whether we know it or not.
Absolutely. And your testimony is what I mean, that's how you know, I mean, with when especially don't you want to tell people like, how God changed your life and how God like again how God can bring you out the darkness to light, right? And that I mean that right there is what we do it for, right? Even creatively. And so we use our platforms, we use our voices to always talk about our testimony. So I think that's pretty cool that you do that.
Thank you. Yeah. Yeah,
That
definitely. My music is a way that I testify more than like it's not really a way that I preach. It's a way that I testify, I would
I
say.
love that. I love that. Are you how involved were you in the process of making it? Are you like in the producer's room? Do you make the beats or do you like have a team or do you like kind of collaborate? How does that look like for you?
So this actually every time I get this question, it blows people's minds. But I actually did it all myself in my room, in my bed.
Wow, I love that. That's so cool. Like I listen, I think that's absolutely amazing because we do live in a time where we can make music. I always jokingly always say that you can make music in your basement, you can make music anywhere in the car and with all the tools that we have digitally and AI is here, it just makes, production time just so much less
So much
versus
quicker.
having such a grand
I'm
theme.
pretty sure I worked on the beat for one of the songs for the upcoming album. I'm pretty
Uh-huh.
sure I won't say too much about that song because that song's gonna be fire. But I made it in a coffee shop. So that was
Wow.
yeah. So
I
you
love
can
it.
really make music anywhere. Absolutely anywhere.
I love that. Do you feel like so a lot of people, and then we'll touch on this just a little bit because I love asking this question because and I think I kind of know your answer, but just curious. A lot of people are afraid to embrace the whole AI and this whole
Mhm.
age of information that we're in, um, because I think a lot of people there's a fear of like, you know, AI. You don't really need people anymore. AI can do essentially everything for you. Do you feel like it takes the creative process out of like say for instance, music back in the day, was completely different in how we make music now, right? Digitally versus back then, you have to like, especially even film was on a it's not digitally, it was like on like a it was hard to just even make
It's
stuff. So right, and so do you feel like it takes the creative out of it, like the rawness, like the realness and what if like you know what I mean? Like versus
like it
just
takes
using
the
AI.
creativity out of it.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily think in all cases it does. I think that there are cases where it can for sure, and it can become. I've seen a lot of like people in the industry that decided, oh, I'm just gonna use AI to generate a beat, use AI to generate lyrics, and use AI to generate a voice and make a song and put it out and earn money from that and just have like a money generator through that. And they do it's all about the heart, like the heart behind why you're using the AI. So
Hmm.
like for instance, I have a tool in FL Studio. It's built in now,
Nice.
that can generate chords. And it helps me generate ideas for like what melodies I want to make. So if I want to have like a chord projection in F major or an F minor, I like F sharp minor a lot. So let's just
Nice.
say F sharp minor, right? And it can generate a chord progression, and then from that chord progression, I can start making ideas myself of like, oh, what melodies am I going to write to this, or like what melodies am I going to play out to this chord progression. 9 times out of 10, I end up scrapping that chord progression and just
Mm.
make, but it's a good starting. It like gives us good starting points to for a song, And so I think used used the right way, AI can be an aid to creativity, but used the wrong way, it could definitely suck the creativity out of create.
Mm, I love that. No, yeah, you're right. I think that yeah, I think it's good to embrace it because I mean it's here. It's never good. It's not going to go anywhere. It's
Exactly.
just learning how to, use it and yeah. Um yeah. So that's cool.
Yeah.
What does now and I'm curious, it it's so interesting. So Eden Hill is we know how musicians like go into the music world and they either use a stage name or they use a real name.
Hmm.
Eden Hill is such a interesting name.
Thank you.
It's like whoa, like it makes you stop and think like what is this person about? Like, was
Yeah.
that intentionally going into it? Do you want it that just to use it, or did you how some artists like Little Wayne is obviously it's not Little Wayne, but
Yeah.
um, it's a stage name.
Yeah, so it's definitely a stage name. And it's nowhere closely related to my real name. My real name's Carlos Azurmendi, so there's like no connection to Eden Hill whatsoever. But the reason that I chose the name Eden Hill is because Eden is actually a Hebrew word and it has two definitions. Is the Garden of Eden, which is the Garden of Paradise, right? Uh,
Hmm.
but it's also not only does it mean paradise, it also means delight in Hebrew. So when God created the Garden of Eden, he created the Garden of Delight, a place where him and his creation can delight in just that, in him and in his in paradise, delighting in paradise. And then the hill is kind of just like I would say it's more of like a vision painting kind of word where it helps you visualize kind of the idea that paradise, that delight is on the horizon. And
Mm,
like if you look over a hill, you can see the sun coming up on the horizon and it's just a beautiful like picture, right? So with Eden, like just the name Eden Hill, it's a reminder for myself, so that I don't get caught up in the bright lights, the cameras, like all that, that my hope, my delight isn't in the right now. It's not in the in whatever comes out of this music stuff, It's not
yeah,
and that my delight is that I have a place in heaven and I get to have eternal life.
yeah, and that's the best thing to that's the best thing.
Mm.
Like I always tell people like yeah it's cool to be able to do what you love to do, but what do you have when it's over, right? You can't take
Yeah.
any of it with you, so it's good to have your life in order with
Yeah,
God.
I could sell out shows. I could whatever music whatever comes with this music stuff, right? Whatever
Right.
happens, and it might be beautiful. It might be a train wreck, and it's still beautiful. But the point is, like, I'm not gonna take that with me, and that's what that name kind of represents. Is that it's a reminder that paradise is on the horizon, not only for me, but for others. When they're saying like when they're listening to my music, it's like I talk about my struggles, but I always finish the songs with like, but there's this.
Yeah.
And it's just like it's part of the project.
I love it. No, I love it. Do you feel like now music, obviously it's changed drastically. You can put on the radio and it's just so much going on in music and all the themes and topics that they're talking about are, money, power, and women and drugs, and it's
Yeah.
glorified in that world. And do you feel like Christian rap is not taken as seriously as other genres of like secular music per se?
Yeah, I think Christian rap, just from what I've heard and like from what I've listened to, and just some of the experiences from other artists that have shared their experiences on social media,
Mhm.
uh, I feel like it has a stigma of being corny. Like,
Right, right.
yeah, I think a lot of people when they're like, "Oh, do you listen to Christian rap?" They're like, "No, not really. It's kind of corny." But then you have artists like NF he doesn't consider himself a Christian rapper, but the his audience, for instance, considers him a Christian rapper because he himself has declared himself to be Christian and he
Okay.
raps. But his rapping is kind of similar to mine, where it's like, or well, I would say mine's similar to his in the way that it's raw. It's like about the emotion. It's about what's going on up here. It's about what's going on and how that connects to this.
Right, right.
For instance, like on Afraid, I used to think that God was just a genie I could call on really easy, only use him just to grant me on my wish list. And then I go on to saying like how I was using God to pray for things that I wanted, when in reality, like what we should be doing is praising him for the lessons that we have, and for how um he's navigating our lives, and building our character. Uh
Absolutely.
and I don't think that Christian rap does that a lot. I think mainstream Christian rap, well, I never thought I'd use mainstream and Christian rap in a sentence together, but the mainstream Christian rap, I think, is more so like talking about the good things, like the the
Blessings, stuff like that. And
talking
yeah.
about blessings and trying to get people in. It's trying to capture people and preach Jesus to them.
Hmm.
When I think that it should be, we should like our expressive creativity, for instance, my philosophy behind using my expressive creativity is to testify, not to preach. And I
Right.
use my words and my relationships with people to preach, you know?
Right, right. I get that. Yeah. Because I feel like it's, too, it's just like I actually had some conversation, and maybe it's not like exactly what we're talking about, but it's with a creator, and he was saying, yeah, there are subjects that we like to talk about, like, for instance, like, representation, or, diversity. Some people are very straightforward and they hit you over the head with information, and it's like it kind of turns you off. You're like, whoa, okay, I know it exists. I know racism is a thing, but you don't have to actually. There's ways to do it without actually hitting people over the head with the information. So I totally understand what you mean. Like, you don't like, if you don't do this, you're going to hell. You're
Yeah,
just more of
exactly. Like I go to college campus over here in Orlando, and on Wednesdays or on Fridays there's a group of like people from like a Baptist church, and
yeah,
they're preaching like repentance or hell, you know? And I'm
yeah,
just
and
like,
it scares people.
exactly. It's like a baby. If you're feeding a baby and you shove the spoon down the
Right,
throat,
right,
the baby's not going to react very. He's probably going to get traumatized and not want to eat ever again. And then
right, right.
like with the same thing with like preaching Jesus, like Jesus is a loving God. So like we have to reflect that when we share that faith with people, you know?
Absolutely. I love that, and you're absolutely right. I have a fun question, and
Yeah.
there's no wrong answer, but the three levels of influence: money,
Mhm.
power, and respect. And if you could choose only one, which one would you choose and why?
Money, power, and respect. Respect. Definitely respect. I think it's important. Money comes and goes, you know, like we can have a lot of it one day and then run out of it next day. Um, Also, power. There's a lot of factors that come into power, that play into power, but honestly, respect. With respect, you can get all of the above.
Absolutely, absolutely, you do. So, what's your hope that people, once they hear this, this song, and listen to your music, what do you want people to walk away with after listening to it?
Um, I want them to walk away with like a realization that they're not alone, that
Mm,
the struggles that they go through is normal.
mhm,
And although the society might not deem a lot of struggles normal, that whatever something whatever's going on in someone's head, there's somebody who's probably experiencing a very similar situation. And um there's a thing about isolation, you know, isolation is horrible. And when we feel like we're alone, that's when dark thoughts start coming in and people start wishing they weren't alive, and things like that.
mm,
So I really want people to understand through my music that it's okay to not be okay, you know?
mm-hmm. I love that. No, for sure. Have have so this upcoming album that
Mm.
is a fear no is, I think it's called Fear No Evil, right?
You're no
So
evil.
w- what kind of themes are you exploring? Is it just mental health? Is it just like, what kind of themes are you exploring in the album that you're tapping into?
I'm exploring a lot of emotional well-being.
Okay.
Um So not just mental health, but for instance, I'll bring up the track list right now.
Ooh, we get a track list on it. All right.
Yeah. So the first song is Afraid, and then the second song is going to deal with kind of like a change of heart, with like apologies. There's a line in that song that I think is going to resonate with a lot of people. It says apologies are empty if there's no change. And
Mm,
um it's kind of just about like that change. And then the third one is about having those issues and like kind of like feeling like you're a problem to others and dealing with those thoughts. And then the fourth one is fear. So that one deals with like
mm,
more so fear of man. So it deals with a lot of like the social emotional issues that we deal with as humans.
mhm.
And it explores those topics in my personal experiences as a person, as a human with emotions. Yeah, so I go through it, and then there's also heartbreak in there, and that is gets explored, like
Nice.
broken relationships and things like that. Um, and then it kind of transitions into more like, oh, but there's God, and
Oh, like a hope. Like it shows like the dark and then it goes all light. Oh, I love that. That's
yeah,
great.
so it starts off dark, and then it goes into like the wait, but there's light. So yeah.
That's awesome. That's exciting. Well, that I'm super excited for you. That's really, really cool. Do you, I have a fun question. And again, if you could go on a coffee date with anyone, living or dead, that could either be your mentor and they can help you in the music world that you're in, who would it be and why?
A coffee date with anybody dead or alive.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I feel like as a Christian, the obvious answer is Jesus.
Absolutely.
But I'm gonna say that's the cop out answer. I'm not.
Right, right.
I would love to go on a coffee date with Nicodemus, the Pharisee, the rabbi that Jesus
Oh,
um in and kind of like revealed to him that he was the Messiah.
yeah.
Um, I would love to just pick his brain and ask him like, what did you think of all your Jewish traditions like after that moment? Like,
Mm.
what did you think of like the heart behind why you did and rose to the position of power that you were in at the time? What did you think of all that? What did that mean to you after you met the God of the universe? You know,
Right.
like I would just love to ask him questions because that's that part in the Bible and I watched the like the film representation in The Chosen in the
Oh,
TV
it's
show.
such a great
Yeah,
series. So
such
good.
amazing. Um, yeah, I would probably ask Nicodemus to go on a coffee. I don't know if coffee was invented back then. Like,
I would think so. No.
I mean,
Mm.
it's a bean. It's like a natural thing, so maybe
Yeah.
wine was invented back then. Coffee was probably invented too.
Had to be. I mean, I don't know how if I could. I don't know how I love coffee. Like I'm obsessed. It's like, mm. um, what do you? How do you like? Do you ever get to the point sometimes in your journey, especially musically, because it's an up and down industry.
Mhm.
Um, do you ever get to sometimes those moments of like you don't want to do it anymore? And if you do, how do you get yourself out of that thought process?
Um, so I kind of promised myself that I would never give up on it. So
Good.
I would never not want to do it anymore unless it was like retirement.
Mm,
But unless I like physically couldn't, like my voice just wasn't the same anymore or something like that, I wouldn't give up. Um, but I do get in moments where I'm like, this is a dry season. I don't feel inspired. I can't
mm.
make a beat for the life of me. I have severe writer's block. Like I get in those periods of time, and that's my time to rest. It's like my Sabbath. Like
Yeah.
um that's when I decide to just take it easy, not worry about making songs, but just rest and catch up. Because when I get into the zone for making music,
Hmm.
I get into it and I ignore everything outside. Like I don't watch the news for weeks. I don't watch um Yeah, like I come out of my room, like I come out of my room after making music for like a few days, right? And I'm just like, what just happened in the world? What's you know?
Yeah, you like disconnect. That's good.
Completely. Yeah. And I just get in my own bubble and just crank out music. And then when it's good to stop sometimes, you know, like it's good
Yeah.
to rest. It's good to not be in that bubble all the time.
Oh
So,
yeah, I think it's so important to disconnect from social media or all of it, the noise,
yeah,
because it can become overwhelming. And then,
sure.
you know, especially social media. I think it's a good and bad. I have my thoughts about it. That's a whole nother topic. Like I had to take a break because it's like it could consume you if
Oh
you let
yeah,
it.
totally. No, I agree completely. I think it's a great tool.
For
A great
sure.
for creators for sure.
Yeah.
Great tool to stay connected with people. But I think that the way that um us humans as humans we are broken by nature, so we use things for broken reasons, and I
Mm,
think it has a lot to do with like social media is not the root of the problem. It can be a problem for sure, but the root of the problem is our pride. You know, the
mm,
problem is our inability to or actually our master ability to unintentionally twist a good thing and turn it into a bad thing as human
mm-hmm,
beings.
mm-hmm. So true. As we look at the news today and all the stuff that's going on.
Yeah, because
Um,
pride and greed creep in, and then headlines are just about getting views and making money, and social media is about trying to trick everybody into thinking that you have the best life ever,
oh
and
God, yeah.
you know, like it's a facade, all of it.
It really is. It really is. Absolutely. So what's one of your like you ever met someone and they kind of like in your journey just of life and whatever they said sticks to you or it could be a quote or whatever. Um it's one of something and then also when you think about this it keeps your spirits up. Like do you have a quote or anything like that that kind of like your favorite quote or line that helps you just stay positive?
Whew. I I know I'm gonna sound like a corny Christian rapper,
No,
but
please.
honestly, I think it's the verse in Mark when Jesus says like, "For even the Son of Man didn't come to be served, but to serve." Um, Let me get the exact words because I don't want to blaspheme, you know.
Absolutely.
But it's in Mark. It's Mark 10, 4 to 45. It's for even the Son of Man came not to be served, but to serve and to give his life as a ransom for many. It kind of
Wow.
just brings into like a perspective of like the God of the universe came to serve us. You
Hmm.
know, it should be the opposite. We should be serving him because he's God, but like he humbled himself
Right.
for us. So that verse kind of just like puts it in perspective for me and like puts me back in my place whenever I'm getting on a high horse, you know,
Oh yeah. Right,
like
right.
like the God of the universe was a servant, you know. I
Isn't that
needed
something?
it's something, let me tell you.
It's like,
It's
wow,
yeah. It really is just like opens my eyes and it inspires me to want to serve others. It inspires me to want to go and help the community and
that's
uh
good.
tithe and do all the things, you know?
I love that. I love that. Do you have so okay, it's you have to pick one. You
Okay.
have NF, you
Mhm.
have Luke Cray,
Okay.
and you have these two. Which one would you want to go on tour with?
NF. You wouldn't never get me, but NF for sure. For
He's
sure.
like, Luke Cray, I'm sorry, buddy. NF has it all.
Yeah, Lecrae's dope, don't get me wrong, but I'm not as big of a fan of his as I am NF. You know?
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
NF got me through some hard times, you know.
Oh
Look,
yeah.
Lecrae Lecrae helped me with my theology kind of,
Mm.
you know,
Yeah, no, I love that. I love that. Yeah, they're enough, and I think they're both just they're just two opposites. Like, and I think they're doing, you know, their work, you know, they're differently, and I think it's great. I think it's great. Yeah,
for
yeah.
sure. But I
NF,
feel
it
like
was NF indie. What did he start out indie as an indie rapper, and then kind of?
I
Like
think
he wasn't signed at first, right? He kind of did his own thing.
he
Okay.
started he started indie and then he signed a Capitol.
Okay. Okay. He's in Capitol Records. Okay. That's cool. Do you feel like you want to sign or do you want to stay uh like like your own boss?
I'm not really good at business stuff, so I'd probably
He's like
sign.
sign.
Yeah, I would probably sign.
Definitely, definitely. Yeah. And they can handle all the rest of that. Yeah, I
Mm.
understand.
For all of that, I just want to be able to make the music, and that's it. Like
That's
that.
it.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. Well, thank you so much for coming on. It was a pleasure talking with you.
Yeah, of course. Thank you for having me. This was amazing.
This is so fun. Oh, and one more thing. Where can people find you on social media to follow you?
Yeah, sure. My Instagram's Eden Hill Music. So is my TikTok. And then my website is edenhillmusic.me, and that has like all my other socials and everything.
Sweet. Are you on TikTok doing the dancing and
I don't really okay, so I'm horrible because I need to get better at like doing social media and like having a social media presence. But to be honest, I'd rather just make music, and
I
do
feel
shows.
you. He's like, I'm not dancing online. That's
Yeah,
his fault.
I'm not dancing in real life. I'm definitely not dancing online. Let me tell you that.
That's hilarious. I love it. Well, thank you so much again. It was a pleasure and come back anytime.
Thank you so much. Yeah. I really enjoyed this. Thank you.
Me too. And thank you all for listening. And always remember to live, love, laugh. We'll see you guys next time.